Thomas Haug, you have just been awarded the Draper Prize award for your contribution in bringing birth to NMT and GSM. Everyone is talking about NMT as the mother of it all. Together with Östen Mäkitalo, you were the key players in the development. What, in your opinion, was the key factors that made it successful?
I think there are several key factors, but let me take them one by one. The first one I would mention is the roaming facility, which allows a user to be called no matter where he is, even if the calling subscriber doesn't know his location. Number two, I think, is the fact that we managed to get the support of all the major manufacturers and suppliers on board by opening the market. We had a completely free market in NMT and no limitation on the number of mobile suppliers or mobile models.
You and Östen Mäkitalo made a very good team in this work. What was your respective roles in the work?
Well, I had worked with switching, with telephone systems, telephone exchanges and so on. Östen had always been working with radio, and both technologies are necessary if you want to implement a new system. And we agreed that we would not design or specify a system which would be modern when we designed it. It should be modern when it was put into operation 10 years later. That was, of course, a bit of a dangerous path to go, but it worked. And I guess we judged the development correctly.
You got quite free hands when you did the work.
Yes, we did. Nobody asked us. They said, good, you go on, and that's what we did. So
no one really knew what you were up to, really?
Well, we sent them reports, and they said, good, it looks like it's going to work. But nobody, neither we nor our bosses had any idea how big this would be, of course. We thought it was going to be, well, interesting, but still a marginal operation.
But it was not just you and Östen Mäkitalo in the NMT project?
Of course not. We were quite a few people, and I would like to mention the first chairman, Håkan Bokstam from Sweden, who chaired the group for 8 years, and he was killed in a motor accident. But he was the one who defined the features of the NMT system. He wrote down the 14 points, which are called the preliminary operative requirements, something like that. And that was really our guideline for the work in NMT.
And that is still relevant today?
Still relevant, and most of them are even relevant in GSM.
And so you got to, first as a secretary and then as a chairman of the NMT, bring it forward, and then later on heading the GSM work. How did that come about?
Well, the reason why I was appointed secretary was that on the first meeting, I think I'm the only person on the planet who is still alive from this first meeting. Anyway, I was not in the room when I arrived a little bit late because from a service trip, I think. And when I arrived, they had already appointed the chairman, and nobody wanted to be secretary, so they chose me. Since I was not there, could defend it myself.
So how did it come about that you became chairman of the GSM then?
Well, I don't really know, but at the same time, the same day, as we were in London to demonstrate NMT, there was a CPT T-Commission meeting going on in Vienna. And in London then, one of the Germans came to me and said, congratulations. And I said, with what? And he said, well, he had been in touch with his countrymen in Vienna. And he said, you have just been appointed the chairman of the new European cellular telephone group. I had no idea. Nobody had asked me. And the only explanation I can find is that probably Mr. Larsen, who was Deputy Director General, was a very powerful man. Maybe he had just offered me as a possible chairman to the CEPT Commission, and that's the only explanation I can find. In NMT, we never had, I don't recall any nationalistic fights. We had lots of fights, wonderful fights, but always on technical grounds, because the radio people and the telephone people, they had, well, each group, each representative had his own ideas, and they often got into quarrels, of course, such is life. But there was never any national struggles, I would say. I can't recall it anyway.
But it was not the paved road to success. I mean, you have competitors in the work, especially the German, French.
Yeah, I was talking of NMT now.
Yes.
In GSM it was a bit different, sure. In GSM you had national conflicts, certainly, between the German-French cooperation on one side and the others on the other side. That was not an easy conflict, and I couldn't resolve that one, nor could anyone else, because it was clearly, it was not up to us really to find a solution. It was up to our political heads, if you like. They were sitting in Paris, in Bonn, in London and so on. And their representatives had very strict orders what they should vote for. So it was not resolved until later, when the German-French cooperation, well, the Germans caved in first, and then the French, because they realized that the other side had a valid argument, and also it would be senseless to have two completely different systems in Europe. After that, we never had any serious national conflicts.
So if you have lost that battle, then you wouldn't have the...
No, there wouldn't have been a GSM system.